What up, YouTube? It's your boy Banks. And we back in the building, you feel me? It's True Talks. Cause True Talks, alright? Let's get straight right into it. Man, so you already know, man, the playoffs officially started, this weekend. Obviously, it started this weekend and it's what elite looks like, man. Let's before we even get into everything and talk about like the teams and the games that we want to talk about and discuss and break down, you know, obviously the first thing is it was just exciting, man. It's just exciting and we're in for great playoffs because one of the main things is that the game is becoming the main thing. That the fact that the fans are back, like you're seeing. Remember, before we had fans and they still had simulated noises and stuff like that that played over through the arena sound. And it was only fans of what, 1,500, 1,000, 2,000 max. Like it was smaller crowds, and even then that was actually gave some extra excitement. But now the fact that and the NBA did great with doing this. The fact that they timed it perfectly, and obviously they went through the protocols and went through everything perfectly to get to this point where, right at the playoff time, all of a sudden it's an insertion of 14,000, 15,000. Like you're getting that much fans, right? Which is obviously not the max, but is over 50%, probably 60%, 70% capacity, and you could just aesthetically how you see it, right? Just looks elite. You could see the energy, you could feel the energy through the actual TV. And again, we've always taken this for granted because, there's been fans all the time and you always we just been watching, it's been amped, and playoffs has always been playoffs. But the fact that we had a playoffs without it, like the bubble, and we had that's why I was saying that bubble shit is cap. You know what I'm saying? A lot of it is cap. So now you're getting more regular type of basketball. You're seeing home court now is really an advantage, right? You were getting back to that type of stuff, right? You're really seeing the crowd affect a lot. You're seeing the crowd amp the road team who's now, you cheering against? Okay, say less, right? Like there's a whole 10 tight different dynamics that are being accounted for now and that's being in play now, right? A whole different dynamic, which leads to different parts of the game that the stat sheet will never tell you. You have to have, the IQ of the game to just understand or have played and experienced something like this to understand the difference that it makes. Some players look, that's what you're going to start seeing. Players at home look different than they look on the road. Like all of this stuff is going to be at play now, right? So you're getting a more real version of playoffs. And, the fact that we just got slapped with it like that, no integration, no 5,000, 7,000, 10,000, just boom, 14,000 for playoffs. Like it was just electric. Every game I actually watched every single game, and it was just, it was just electric, just the feeling, the energy, you know what I'm saying? Like it was perfect, man. It was perfect. Like, bruh, it was missed. It was really missed, man. It was really missed. So, let's go into, obviously we're going to start with we'll start with the Nets and the Celtics. And actually I lied. Let's start with the Bucks. Let's start with the Bucks and the Heat. We'll start with that. And, we'll talk about, let's go into the context. Because I give you that context. Let's go straight right into it, boy. So you already know, man. Basically, the Nets and the Bucks and the Heat were playing, right? The Bucks were home. Like I talked about the fans already. Obviously, it makes a difference. But you've seen it was that atmosphere brought. Like, remember, you got to understand context-wise. These players went from minimal crowds to all of a sudden, boom, an insertion of 15, 14, whatever thousand, a whole bulk of fans. So now that energy that they feel in their chest, that pressure, that nervousness, all of that stuff, even for home teams, because you kind of get you want to perform well for your home team. So you even get pressure and nerves as well, too. Like to start the games, normally the away team actually has no pressure because they're kind of you're not playing in front of your own crowd. You're kind of motivated to, I'm going to shut you guys up, right? So they normally come out the gates swinging, right? That's how it normally goes. The home team normally has that nerves, that kind of we got to protect home and we can't play bad in front of our fans. Like that kind of nerves are at play. Then now you add a next tier of it in terms of the fact that they aren't even used to this. They've been accustomed to no fans, been accustomed to, that energy is not there. Those decibels, all of that stuff is not there. It's just been simulated. So they've been accustomed to the certain caliber of play and energy. And then all of a sudden, boom, you get a jolt, a huge jolt. And they're not used to that. So that's why you saw for a lot of these first games to start the game, obviously the defensive intensity is a reason for it as well, too, because it's playoffs. But you've seen a lot of jitters, a lot of missed open shots and stuff like that. You've seen that, to start the games, especially on Saturday, the first games, right? There's a first actual playoffs, right? Especially then this is what we saw from the Bucks and the Heat. Bare bricks, just clapping backboard, just atrocious misses, and, just you could see. And this is a lot of it has to do with this fact. They're not used to this. So, once they settle down and once they get in, then now you start getting back to normal type of play. And, this is part of the playoffs, right? So, now when we want to analyze and just look at what happened and what was the end all be all. And this is what I've been saying about the Bucks, right? We'll talk about the Heat after, but the Bucks, is always gonna come down to it. And all that's why I was saying, like, rarely do you see an MVP. Actually, not rarely, but this is the same thing that we've seen with like Shaq and Kobe, right? Shaq is the one who's getting the MVP. Shaq is the one getting the most points and all that type of stuff. But because of lack of ability, and Shaq still had ability, don't get it twisted. He had ability, but there is still, that ability is still limited in the grand scheme of ability, right? Because Shaq is doing left hooks, right hooks. He's getting on the block. He's breaking your chest, drop steps, up and under dunks. Like, what I mean? He has some type of ability. He's not just relying on only dunks, right? So he has ability, but his ability isn't face-up shooting, doing step backs, post phase. Like, the ability is still in some grand scheme limited, right? So is that going to be your closer guy when you could just foul him, especially now you struggle at the free throw line, right? That dynamic ability is not limited to just one thing. Ability apply anything. Skill is obviously passing and rebound. Everything is a skill in basketball, everything. But when we say the term skill, the hierarchy of it is where the hardest form of skill is shooting, right? Shooting off the pull-ups, right, left, right? Same thing with fades. Like, all ability, the most difficult ability is skill in terms of shooting, soft touch, floaters, not just floater, just skill in general in terms of shooting, soft touch, shooting pull-ups, shooting step back, shooting middies, shooting off the gaps in threes, pulling threes, like everything in general. Then now the shooting in itself gets broken down into more skill variations because now you got left pull-ups to the left, pull-up center, pull-ups to the right. Like, these are all different releases. You got step backs, you got spin shots, you got step back left, step back right, right? Some guys could only step back left because it's easier for the type of hand you are. Right now doing the wrong side step back, side steps, right? You incorporate all of these skilled abilities because it's different. It's more difficult the more you add more variations, more counters, more combos of these skills. The skilled shots are like, there's a whole wide variety of breaking down in terms of who has what type of skill, and is this person's skill more than this person's skill, because the ability is one thing, but now you go further into breaking down the skill, right? And that's what people don't understand. They just sum it up overall, skill, shooting. No, look, what type of shots is he taking, right? Can he pull up in gaps? If you run the screen, can he come off the screen and pull quick off the curl, right? That changes now how we guard you. Now we have to aggressively come up off the screen, right? So now, based off of that, now this roller gets more easier buckets, right? Because you have to trap the screen when he comes off the mid-range, off the curl. So that's an easy pass to alley or easy pass to the corner. Like, because if a guy can't pull off the screen curling like that, we do a soft hedge, right? So you're lower, right? You're doing a weak hedge, so you can kind of gap and then get back to the roller because he's not gonna pull in that gap. So there's all these things matter, and it chain reactions happen off of these things. Your defensive schemes get changed and adjusted based off of the KYP on the skill. Like, it all starts from that, which is why the skilled bucket getters and the creators and all of that are the most dangerous and important players because they make everything easier for everybody else. But not only that, when it's tough for everybody else and you need a bucket, they're the best guys. They're the ones who are going to get it. That's why they're the most important players. Not just the most important players, they're the best players. And you can't win without those players. So that's where now, in full circle, when I was talking about with Shaq, this is similar to Giannis. Obviously, Giannis doesn't break chest and he's not bullying like Shaq. But, if you look at Shaq in Orlando, that mobility. If Shaq in Orlando was told, you know what, here, we're going to give you the ball and all that. When you know how he gets the rebound and he runs down the court and he's athletic and more agile as a younger Shaq, we're going to give you the ball and we're going to have a 5-out offense and you're going to actually ball handle. You would see a different Shaq, but there was a different era. So that different Shaq would actually be what Giannis is. That would actually be what Giannis is. You know what I'm saying? Like, that mobility. So Shaq, again, didn't have ability. And why did it come down? Who did it come down to when he was with the Lakers? It came down to Kobe, even young Kobe. That's why they always go, oh, Shaq was the reason. The final shit is obviously, no one. It's a mismatch. He had old Dikembe. He had, what was it? Todd McCullough. Like, all these other centers he faced in the East and during that three-peat is hella mismatch. And that's why he averaged almost 40, right? Just breaking their chests. But now we look at the conference finals where you have body up bigs. You actually have Tim Duncans, David Robinsons. You know what I'm saying? You have the Sabonises. You have the Rasheed Wallaces. You have the Chris Webber, the Vlade Divac. You have all these bigs, plethora throughout each round back then in the West when it was a big era. Shaq obviously is going to dominate, but there's going to be games that he's not dominating. Who is going to be the guy? And it was Kobe. Which is why in those series, he actually averaged more than even Shaq or was comparable. It wasn't and that's what I'm saying. That's the closer. That's the more important guy. That's what is full circle to Middleton. Middleton is supposed to be that guy for the Bucks. That's why I always said the Bucks, their season, same thing with the Sixers, similar to Tobias. The season and the playoffs, how far you go and what's dictated and all of your season comes down to Middleton. It always was that, always was going to be that, and always has been that. It's not the Giannis, the MVP, and all the guy who has the name and all of that type of stuff. It comes down to the ability. And Giannis lacks. You've seen all that shit he was doing, step backs and pull up in the threes that he was doing versus the Nets. People believe that was true. And I said it's the regular season. But when playoffs come, there's an automatic, cloud of pressure. There's automatic, open shots aren't really open shots. Even though they're open shots. There's pressure. Everything is magnified. Every possession is magnified. Everything, you know what I mean? So when you look at it, the way certain guys look in the regular season, especially when they actually truly lack that ability. When I say lack ability, it means do you do it on a regular basis? You're going to have games where you do it. Your regular season, there's not too much, nothing's on the line, whatever. But when stuff is on the line, every game matters. Every 2-1, 1-0, 3-1, all these series, every game matters. Every possession matters. Everything is magnified. You're not going to do, it's not about the fact that you can't do it, but the ability. When I say ability, are you potent and elite with that ability so much that it's actually you? That's who you are. There's guys who apply ability and they look like they have ability at times, but is that really who you are? Meaning, with pressure, with everything on the line, you're going to go to the more guaranteed take. That's why those guys with the ability is so different, because their guaranteed takes are ability takes. The other guys who lack that ability, they're not going to do something they're not confident in and they don't do at a potent level. They're not going to do it because they feel like, I probably will miss this. This is not me. Unless they are confident they're eating and maybe one went in, then now you get those anomaly games. But most of the times, they're not even going to attempt those takes. They're not even going to look for those takes because they're not confident in those takes. That's why basketball is 80 to 90% mental. All this skill in the world is not even applicable if your mental game won't apply it. It's confidence. All these things. This is what the stat sheet and all these things that people don't understand, that they don't account for and they erase. Right? And that's why I'm here to give that context. So that's why Giannis completely looks different in the postseason all the time. And it's not just Giannis. There's other players as well, too. But we're not even going to talk about that. They look different in the postseason. Right? So he's not going to take these takes. Only once in a blue moon will he take it. He's not going to. So I already assessed that. That's why I said the season is going to come down to Middleton being Middleton. And now you added a Drew Holiday to shot create. So that's why I said the Bucks, it depends. Can you rely on Middleton to do that every single day, all day, every day? Like you rely on it for the KDs. This is more so a testament to, is Middleton going to tap into that newer echelon or that higher echelon where he's now not just a secondary all-star. He's actually becoming okay, he's literally a bona fide all-star. He's one of them. That's what we're waiting for. And that's what you're also waiting for with Tobias, right? In the Sixers. If you really know the game, it's always going to come to those two. Those two. And with the Sixers, Embiid be lacking in the post. And he be not lacking in terms of ability. He has the ability. We already know that. But sometimes his palms are sweaty. And it's going to come to that wing perimeter creator because you also have to get Embiid the ball. So if he's not able to get it and then no spacing, it's going to come down to those two guys. Middleton because lack of ability with Giannis, and Tobias because of lack of ability with Simmons. It's comparable. They correlate. So that's why I was saying, always coming into this series, Middleton is can you rely on Middleton to be Middleton? And not only that, now in order to let Middleton be Middleton, look at all the last plays in the clutch down the stretch versus the Heat. What was happening? Giannis didn't even touch the ball. He's on the block. Lopez is even setting screens. Because why? Bam was on Giannis. They don't want Bam to be switching off the screen because that's actually an elite defender who's going to be there. They want Duncan Robinson involved because Duncan Robinson is getting away with guarding Lopez. Right? That's what you saw in the game winner, which is why they ran the screen to get Ariza off me. Right? And they're going to switch everything. That's the principle. Because now if you double, it leads to chain reaction. They're switching everything. And we obviously switch everything because we want Lopez. What do you mean? We want Lopez. You want to go to Lopez on mismatch? Go ahead. But what happened? He switched. Then he redirected. And then got Robinson back on him. Right? He reversed the screen. He switched. He came this way. Didn't work. Went back. And then they switched back. And then they had to switch back to Duncan again. And Duncan had to be the one to lunge out there and contest. And where was Giannis on the block? And that was a great shot creating, elite take. No intention of going into the paint. Real shot creators will never go into the paint for a game winner. You know what I'm saying? Them ones, because you don't want to rely on a foul, a double. Like, you put the game in your hand. You shoot it on the perimeter, 1 dribble, 2 dribble, 3 dribble pull-ups, all pull-ups for game winners. That's what, you put the game in your hand. I'm no bailout, no nothing. No bailout refs. I'm not putting onus on the refs. Not like, no. It's all me. No, only screen to switch, and if not, I'm still going to go through the double or whatever. And that's what Middleton did. And that's where, he tapped. And that this game, like, might do so much damage not damage, but will make the Bucks be so dangerous in terms of what it's going to do for Middleton. Middleton haven't had game winners, right, in the playoffs. He's always had this cloud around him where it's Giannis everything, and also too, this is play style. Giannis everything, where Giannis comes downhill 5 out, and then he can't do nothing. Then Middleton gets it in under duress situations and has to be the one to shot create. That was the old Bucks. The new Bucks is, we know who Middleton is. We know who Drew is. In the moments when it matters, we're going to do pick with either Giannis setting the pick or Lopez setting the pick, and Giannis not even ball handling. He's not even part of this as a play initiator like he normally is. So now you're getting the real play style and the real player of Middleton, because now he can play in his proper play style. He can be who he's supposed to be. Drew Holiday can be who he's supposed to be. And that was a difference. And that's what I liked from this whole, they reassessed and reevaluated, and they know obviously Giannis, whatever, they're going to do that 5-out run downhill sometimes, like during the whole flow of the game. But when it matters, they're going to go to that. And that's what you've seen in regular season, which is why, I always said this postseason, I still have some, I don't trust the Bucks, but I've gotten past where it's guaranteed they're going to, like any elite team, they're going to lose. Like I said, you know what? I'm waiting and seeing, because they actually been applying that Middleton creating. They've been applying that, right? So when you look at it, that's the difference. And that's what you saw. And that's what now for Middleton, there's certain players that every player, when they get a game winner, when they feel like they're kind of on the scene, but they're not really, when they get that one moment where they come through, the confidence meter goes out and goes skyrockets. And now the sky's the limit. Now they tap into who they really are supposed to be. So the Middleton we'll see now, you'll start seeing Middleton wave off, man. So you like, give me the ball. Like, you're gonna start seeing a Middleton that's like hella aggressive and that's so confident that he feels like, because his game is literally from the KD tree if you really take it in. So he's gonna feel like he's KD. He's gonna feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm that guy. Like, he's that confidence. I'm telling you, like, game winners like this in clutch situation. Like, if it went another way, if he missed and then the Heat won, it's scary. Where now they feel like it's the same. We're the same. It's the same. Oh, here we go again. Here we go again. That's why this game was so vital for the Bucks. Doesn't mean it's going to be a sweep or anything like that. No, because again, Jimmy Butler had a whole struggle and all of that, and it still went to OT and it still became a game winner. Like, this is a 7-game series. A lot of these series are 6 or 7 game series for the first round. So that's why, it's exciting, right? But it comes down to like that. They could have went the other way, and it didn't. So you're gonna start seeing like you might see a Middleton average 30. You might like it could go either way. But I know that especially as a hooper, the confidence that game winner means and what it does for players, especially a player who has that looming cloud around him. It's next level. It's next level. So, and then you add the Jrue Holiday component. This is why the Bucks can be dangerous if they really tap into who they should be and they play who they should supposed to play, right? And Giannis is not. He's supposed to be the third, best player when it matters. He is because it's just about the ability, right? So, now when we look at the Heat, like I don't like what I saw from Eric Spoelstra, and I've been saying this a lot of the times, like even with Pascal, like when it's playoff time, you put your best defender on the guy who you want to neutralize. Bam is their best perimeter defender or best defender to guard Giannis. If you look at it, because Giannis, they put Bam because he's playing the 5. You play him on the 5. Lopez is the 5. Put him together. No. Why the hell is Ariza guarding Giannis when you could put Bam on Giannis and let Ariza guard Lopez? Lopez getting 30 off of breaking Ariza's chest. Is that what they're really going to do? You pick your poison. If Lopez gets 30 off post-ups and that's what they change their game and they run post-up for Lopez, we live and die by that. We going to get swept by that. That's not going to happen. That's not going to happen. They don't even run that way. That's even unconventional for them to just go to that all day, every day. That's what coaching, that's what, bro, if I was a coach, man, like, bro, like, I'm not letting you. I'm not putting you. Letting you off the hook. I'm putting my elite guy on you. You see when Bam is on him through switches and through situationals, or sometimes when Lopez is in the game and Giannis is at the 5. Now Bam has to guard him. Look what the percentages that Giannis was doing on Bam. He only scored maybe 1 or 2. Like it was terrible percentages, padded. He doesn't even get shots off. He even plays different. Bam, like a defender with length like that, come on now. He's not going to shoot over him. Like he's not going to the paint. He's not blow buying him. Like it's all world padded, straight padded, locked up. You know what I'm saying? So like, why are we now putting Ariza on him? So in certain situations, he gets the little, those drop-offs, or he gets the rebounds, or he gets the, in the post and then just boom, 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 dunk. Like he gets those little blow-bys or whatever. And then sometimes even going over the screen with Giannis. Like, what are you doing? Go under all the screen. Like, are you serious right now? Like, the game planning, I know obviously you still have to adjust, but even just when you've been doing film for a whole week and that's how you come out the gate, like, it could have been a whole different situation for the Heat. Now, again, they still have to adjust and whatever, but like, you don't. That's like he's been doing that sometimes, and I don't like it, man. Cross matches. There's like you put who you want to put, who needs to be put on, who needs to be put on. That's what you do, and I didn't like that. Now, when we look at the offensive side, Duncan Robinson, man, like bruh, his curl off screen game. This is why I say the league is so different with ability. Like, it's one thing to be a catch and shoot guy, but to be able to do left, right, planting. Off the drifts to the right, right left planting off the drifts to the left, like already doing that and curling and doing that from deep and off screen, split sliver second situations and gaps and openings, like that's tough. That's elite shooting ability, elite shooting. There's guys who are elite catch and shoot guys, but it's different when you could apply that. That creates movement that has to be accounted for. So now it opens up so many different things. And you could always be a bailout at any time, relocate, whatever, like at any. So that ability is like, that's that Klay Thompson. That's that ability is different. It's always needed. It's always needed. And you see it from a lot of guys. You see it from role players. You see it from the stars now have that ability, like Booker, Kyrie, Kate, like all these guys have that ability to do that, right? Come off the screen and pull off the gaps, whatever, right? So, it's just, this league is different. But when you like Duncan Robinson, ain't no joke, man. Ain't no joke. Then obviously Butler struggled and it shouldn't be the same. But, he needs to be more aggressive. And, obviously he still was aggressive. He shot a lot of shots, but he wasn't as potent as he normally should be. But even then, that's like, if I'm a Heat fan, this is a positive sign for this team, right? This is a positive sign that the fact that Butler struggled, they struggled shooting and stuff like that. Dragic is a dog. You already know, like they have dogs and they didn't play the best in terms of offensively. and they only lost by a game winner. You know, it's gonna do confidence for Middleton individually, but I don't know if the Bucks are OD confident, right? I know the Heat gained more confidence from that loss. They gain more. They feel like we can even beat them in 6 now. Like, you know, they gain more confidence, and this was on the road too. So imagine what we'll do at home. Like, you know what I mean? So this is gonna be a dogfight series. You're gonna see some play styles happen, and we'll see how it goes. But again, for the Bucks, it comes down for Middleton, and you already know the Heat is just a collective thing, and it comes down to Butler being Butler at the end of the day, right? So we'll see how, you know, it kind of transpires and how it plays out. But, you know, expect some adjustments like every series, right? So we'll see how that kind of goes, man. We'll see how that goes.